Well, hello everybody, and welcome to today's session. My name is Lisa Chamet. I'm the head of partnerships at Charity Digital, and we are delighted to have so many of you joining us today. Whilst we are waiting for others, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box and let us know where you are joining from. You can select in the chat section the everyone button so everybody can see where you're joining us from today. Um, Firstly, a quick intro to Charity Digital. We are a UK registered charity. Our mission is to help other charities and non-profits in the UK to increase their impact thanks to technology. We do this through two main activities. The first one is providing access to the software and hardware products charities need, such as Microsoft or Zoom licenses or even Meta Quest devices at a heavily discounted rate. And then we also publish content like articles, podcasts, and videos. We run webinars and other events to educate the sector on how to make the best use of digital tools and technology. And today's session, we're really looking forward to this one because not only is it presented by our tech specialist, Joel Hogan, our customer success manager, and he'll provide a whistlestop tour of Microsoft Copilot, its key capabilities, how they can help charities, and answer all of your burning questions around Microsoft AI service. We will share details on what is Microsoft Copilot, what are the benefits of Copilots for charities, and how different iterations of Microsoft Copilots can work, because there's Copilot for Microsoft 365, but there's also Copilot for Bing and Edge. So we'll go a little bit into that. Before handing over to Joel, I just want to share a few house rules, and whilst other people are joining us as well. The session is recorded. We will upload to watch it on demand within a week's time. The slides and the other resources will also be made available over the next few days. So don't worry if you've missed anything. Closed captions are available for today's session. At the bottom, in the bottom bar, you can click on the More section and you can click on Captions to activate these. We're very pleased that many of you are joining us, so we're really much looking forward to your questions. So pop them in the chat section. We will collect them as they come, and then Joel will address them at the end of the presentation. We'll leave about 10, 15 minutes for that. We'll do our very best to go through as many questions as possible. However, if we don't get to yours on time, don't worry, we'll add that in a document and we'll add it to the resources. If you have any other comments, tips, or anything, we also love to hear from you. If you encounter any sound or image issue, please let us know in the chat. We'll do our very best to get the session back to normal as soon as we can. And now, without further ado, let me hand over to Joel. Welcome, Joel.
Hello, Lisa. Bonjour.
Hello. Bonjour.
I promise that's the end of my French, or I'll end up sounding like Derek Trotter. So it's so good to see so many of you today. So thank you very much for joining us. So so welcome to today's Q&A session. So it's all about Microsoft's AI assistant Copilot. Now, Microsoft Copilot launched in 2023. And is designed to assist users across a variety of Microsoft products. That's including Microsoft 365, Bing, and Edge, as Lisa said a few moments ago. And that's with the aim of simplifying tasks and enhancing productivity. So, my name is Joel Hogan. I'm the Customer Success Manager at Charity Digital. I've been working for Charity Digital for nearly 7 years, providing support and delivering impact in numerous ways, from your frontline support and account management, partner relationships and strategy, consultations, and funny enough, webinars like today. So today I'm going to talk about Copilot and, crucially, how it can help charities. So Microsoft Copilot is particularly helpful to charities in that it's built into a lot of the more familiar Microsoft products we already use. So charities using Microsoft 365 can use Copilot in conjunction with other Microsoft 365 apps, so such as your Excels, your Word, and even OneNote as well, if anyone's using that. So likewise, charities using Microsoft's Bing search engine or its Edge browser can use Copilot to assist them, using it to helpfully summarize search results. So this is what we'll be covering in today's session. So firstly, what is Microsoft Copilot and how does it work? So we'll give a quick overview of the technology involved behind Copilot and explain what it means to the charity sector. We'll then look at the different versions of Copilot and what they can do. So Copilot is the name of the AI assistant, but there are lots of different versions using the same technology that work in conjunction with different Microsoft products. And we'll explore each of these different versions and what charities can do with them to enhance their operations. We'll also look at how to use Microsoft Copilot responsibly, which is extremely important. So while AI has the potential to really streamline how charities operate, it is also important to note that it's an emerging technology, and as such, there may be risks involved in using it that charities need to take a note of. And in the final section of the webinar, we'll look at some of those risks and how charities can mitigate them. And as Lisa said, we'll fit a Q&A at the end there. So let's get going. So let's start with a brief outline of what Microsoft Copilot is. So Microsoft Copilot was launched in February 2023 as Microsoft's AI assistant, working in conjunction with its other software such as Microsoft Office. Copilot can work with Microsoft 365 apps, Dynamics 365, Windows, and more as well. So Microsoft Copilot is a generative AI tool that works by combining the natural language processing technology behind ChatGPT with the data from your own Microsoft usage, including your calendar, your emails, Teams chats, meetings, and more, of course. So by connecting to existing Microsoft products, it can offer you more bespoke benefits with more insight into your work and what you need. And just an image there. Sorry, it's not a lot bigger there, but just to give you like just a sort of a brief image there. So here is what Microsoft Copilot said about itself when asked. You can see there that it highlights different capabilities and different versions of itself as well. So, and indeed, understanding Copilot and how it works can be quite confusing because there are so many different versions. The one we think of most is probably Copilot for Bing, which used to be known as Bing Chat and works alongside Microsoft's search engine, Bing. So, however, all of our Microsoft AI assistant tools are now called Copilot, with the name of the app they work with usually included in the title. So what I mean by that is it could be Copilot for Word or Copilot for Windows and so on and so forth. Now, Copilot for Bing and Edge is free to users with a free Microsoft account, as is Copilot for Windows, which is available in a preview mode at the moment, meaning it is still being tested. Now, pricing for the other app, for other application varies. Copilot 365 costs around $30 per user per month. That's directly with Microsoft, and you need to have certain licenses to be able to add it on, which I'll explain a little bit more later. There's also Copilot Pro, which works like Copilot for Bing and Edge, but for $20 a month, with the added ability to unlock the Copilot Assistant inside Word, PowerPoint, Excel, OneNote, and Outlook, and without Copilot for 365, and you can create more images too. It's important to note that these are the current commercial prices quoted by Microsoft, including the annual rate, which I've mentioned there as well, which you can get from us. So there actually isn't a non-profit discount currently available, and we're yet to be informed when or if a non-profit discount option will become available. Fingers crossed, hopefully soon, but I just want to be transparent with that at the moment, that these are the prices based on commercial reselling at the moment. And for those of you wondering, the difference between Copilot Pro and Copilot for 365, the main one is that Copilot Pro is aimed more at individual users of Microsoft, whereas Copilot for 365 is aimed at enhancing the productivity of organizations as a whole. So Copilot for 365 is more grounded in an organization's work rather than the web. Okay, so we've had a brief look at some of the different versions of Copilot, which we'll return to later. I think it's a good idea to look at why this is so important to charities right now. So in 2024, it feels like we're on the cusp of mainstream AI adoption, with the promise of enhancing productivity and reducing the time spent on administrative tasks. AI is an opportunity charities can't really ignore when balancing limited time and resource with rising demand for services. The 2023 Charity Skills Report showed that more than half, so 53% of charities, are either using or planning to use AI in the future, while 78% of charities believe AI is relevant to their charity and has the potential to transform it. Similarly, a report from IT services providers OneStore found that nearly 90% of respondents to its AI survey believe that the use of digital assistants such as Copilot will positively impact employee productivity and efficiency. Less than 2% expect the technology to have a negative impact. According to Microsoft, 7 in 10 people using Copilot said that they were more productive, while people using it to catch up on missed things were able to do so 4 times faster. And charities are not likely to miss out on such benefits. OneStore's research found that more than 9 in 10 charities were considering investing in Copilot specifically, with almost 90% agreeing it will have a positive impact on employee productivity and efficiency. 7 in 10 nonprofits say they are likely to implement Copilot across management, team leadership, and administrative functions. So that's why we wanted to give a brief introduction to Copilot today to understand more about where it can help charities and what the different versions entail as well. So we'll get into those different versions and what they can do next. So starting with Microsoft Copilot for 365. So as we mentioned before, this works with your existing Microsoft apps such as Microsoft Teams, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and more to give users assistance that is grounded in their work and relevant to their needs. Here's a brief outline of what it can do with specific apps in 365. So Word, for example. So Copilot in Word brings together large language models, or LLMs is the abbreviation, which can process and generate text to assist with tasks such as generating new writing, summarizing existing writing, and turning text into tables. With Excel, so Microsoft Copilot in Excel can generate formula column suggestions, create charts, and generally point out insights you might not otherwise have spotted. We've included an example of that process here to show you how Copilot can process your data and show insights based on specific questions you've asked. Microsoft Support has a handy list of prompts that can help with data analysis within Excel, which we've linked to within the slides, which you'll get a bit later further down the line. And then with Microsoft Copilot in PowerPoint, you can create a presentation from an existing Word document, generate summaries, redesign slides with Microsoft Designer, and create speaker notes. And Teams and Outlook, the AI assistant generates email thread summaries to help users catch up on missed messages or find old emails. It can compose and refine emails, identify tasks and assignments in Teams, and suggest people to follow up on specific action items. Users also get access to Copilot Studio, through which they can create custom GPT, so that's generative pre-trained transformers like ChatGPT, for etc. Automate processes or change the sources of Copilot for different results. Copilot Studio is included in Microsoft E3 and E5 licenses, but available as a separate subscription to Copilot for 365 if using with a different subscription there, which we'll have a look at now. So users can find Copilot in the home ribbon at the top of each Microsoft 365 app once it has been enabled. So to use Copilot for Microsoft 365, you need one of the following licenses listed there. Charities can access Microsoft 365 licenses at a discounted rate through Charity Digital Exchange as one option. It could be important to take advantage of the charitable discounts of 365 subscriptions. As like I mentioned a few moments ago, there isn't a non-profit discount available for Copilot at this time. So you really want to be looking after your budgets wisely with that one. So Copilot for Bing and Edge is a separate feature, and it's completely free to anyone with a free Microsoft account. It assists users during web searches and browsing by providing context-aware suggestions and responses. So for example, if you search what is Charity Digital, Microsoft's AI technology will provide you with something like this. So a short summary, complete with links to its sources. Indeed, Copilot for Bing and Edge is very helpful in that it can connect to the internet, which is unlike ChatGPT, giving it the ability to access more up-to-date information than other models which are trained on past data only. So to summarize, Copilot for Bing and Edge is primarily focused on enhancing the browsing experience and doesn't directly integrate with Microsoft 365 apps. It can connect to the internet and is easy to find. Look for the Copilot logo, and it can also help with the tabs as well. So for example, when highlighting text in certain tabs on Edge, like when you're creating presentations on Canva, you can also get the option to rewrite with Copilot, and you can summon this by pressing Alt and I. So Copilot in Windows is an AI assistant in Windows that can help you with a variety of tasks, so both relating to your PC settings and to generative assistance as well. So basically, it can help you with anything from answering questions as in Bing and Edge, launching apps, writing text, organizing your windows, creating images, and more as well. So replacing Cortana as the default assistant in Windows 11, Copilot appears in the taskbar in preview form, which means it is, like we've mentioned a bit earlier, still being tested. You can also summon it by pressing the Windows button on your keyboard +C. So here's an example using Copilot for Windows to create an image, which is also free. So yep, just using that there. Very good. So a short note about conversation styles. So it's also worth noting that Copilot for Windows has an option to switch up conversation style. So there are three. That's creative, balanced, and precise. So creative, with the creative style, you'll get longer, more detailed responses, including jokes, poems, or even images as well. With the balance mode, you'll get informative yet friendly responses, and this is the standard conversation style. And with precise, you'll get concise, straightforward answers to your prompts, and it's direct and prioritizes clarity. Also, on the limit of responses, you can see a 1 out of 30 responses when you interact with Copilot, but this is just in relation to each interaction. So each question can use 30 responses. To start again, simply start a new conversation or refresh. Copilot says to think of it as turning the page to a fresh chapter in our virtual book. So let's have a look at some of the challenges now. So there's a lot that Copilot can help charities with, and that's with lots of free AI assistance and integration with software we already likely work with. But as with any emerging technology, there are challenges involved too. The speed with which AI technology is developing is a particular challenge for the sector. giving us a limited time to adopt the digital skills and vision necessary to make the most of AI and crucially mitigate its risks. Therefore, with Copilot, as with any generative AI tool, it is worth proceeding with caution and having clear usage policies in place before an organization wide adoption. It's important to both protect your charity's data, finances, and also from a reputational perspective as well. Now, only 13% of respondents told Charities Aid Foundation they wouldn't pay much or any attention to what a charity they supported said about how they use AI. And around a quarter said that they would pay a great deal of attention. So let's have a quick look at some of the main risks around using generative AI like Copilot and how charities can mitigate them. So we start off with the hallucinations. So AI hallucinations, essentially false or inaccurate outputs given in response to a prompt. The BBC points to a good example of AI hallucination when a US law firm used generative AI for legal research, and that led to fictitious cases being cited in court. Hallucinations happen because although AI is able to work out how words and letters work together, it never understands the meaning of what it is saying. So while AI understands grammar and word associations, it does not understand concepts. As Charity Digital's head of content, Johan Mark Jones, points out, AI is pattern matching. In essence, and if incorrect information matches the pattern, the AI may well produce that information. And importantly, since the AI is often verbose and confident, it will relay that information in a way that is easy to believe. Using AI to search for answers or to generate content can make it easier for organizations to spread misinformation without even knowing. So charities have a uniquely trusted position in society and are experts in their cause. So to reproduce or share incorrect information without fact checking can lead to a decline in trust between its supporters, beneficiaries, and the organization itself. So similarly, as well as posing a reputational threat, incorrect information from AI can lead to incorrect decisions being made as well. So what can we do about that? So always involve humans. So while AI can save us valuable time, having a human who's familiar with your charity and its cause look over information generated by AI can help spot any issues within it, reducing the potential to cause harm. Fact checking is vital, and there are plenty of tools to help with that, including tasks like Google Fact Check Explorer, Claim Buster, and Snopes, as well as just a few examples. Also, always check AI sources. So Copilot footnotes much of the information it generates, but it is worth checking those links are reputable and always making sure you're giving credit to those sources too. So both to back up your information and to prevent accusations of plagiarism. So let's take a look at bias now as well. So eliminating data bias is a concern for charities to ensure that the decisions that they make are meeting the needs of their beneficiaries. Data can be flawed, perhaps favoring certain demographics or groups, leading to an incomplete picture of the challenges charities are trying to address. So data bias can lead to false results or poor decisions being made on the behalf of the community and charities they serve. AI is a data machine. Its outputs are only as good as the data that goes into it. And we've already seen myriad cases of biased data leading to biased AI, including Bloomberg's study of AI images, which found clear racial and gender disparities. High-paying jobs were dominated by images of men with lighter skin tones, for example. In short, if data being fed into it is biased, AI can produce biased results. It can extend that bias through machine learning, creating outputs that are flawed and drive little impact for those excluded from the data. What can we do about that? So make sure your data is ready before you use it with AI. For example, when using Copilot to make predictive suggestions, ensure data is complete and up to date, and understand where you might need more or less data to understand the next steps. Similarly, as we mentioned before, creating an AI policy that defines the general rules of AI usage can be really helpful to ensure data is used responsibly, with privacy and security in mind. Now, knowing where AI is being applied can help with identifying any potential problems or errors. And by all means, use AI to make decisions but make sure you first question everything. So AI is a tool and does not understand your charity like you do. And then let's have a look at the data privacy or privacy and security. So charities should always be cautious when feeding data into any system they use, including AI tools, making sure they are secure against potential cyber breaches. The risk of a data breach was highlighted as the second biggest concern for the public in terms of charities using AI. According to research from Charities Aid Foundation, meaning data security remain a priority of the sector when adopting new technology. The key word here is remain. Charities Aid Foundation notes that people do not see the use of AI as making a data breach any more likely than it is already. And charities have a legal and ethical responsibility to ensure their data is robustly protected against cyber threats, whether they're using AI yet or not. The important thing is to proceed with caution and always look at the security of the systems you're using. This is what actually makes Copilot for 365 a good choice for charities. It has the weight of Microsoft's data protection features behind it already and is compliant with its GDPR policies. In Copilot for 365, your Microsoft Graph data isn't used to train the AI model. The information contained within your prompts, the data they retrieve, and the generated responses remain within the Microsoft 365 service boundary, in keeping within its current privacy, security, and compliance commitments. There are certain circumstances where your data might leave the boundary, such as using plugins or extensions. You can find out more about how your data is processed on the follow-up slides there as well. It's also worth noting that Copilot has a dedicated security tool, which has been very recently launched and works with other Microsoft security products, such as Defender is a very popular one, Sentinel, Purview. Charities need an existing Microsoft Azure subscription to add on. So that concludes our whistle-stop tour through Microsoft Copilot. Hope you found that useful, and over to you, Lisa. Question time.
Well, thank you very much, Joel. And we've had loads of questions already, so we can dive straight in. I found that very insightful. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, I could see loads of activities in the chat. Please continue to share your questions, as we still got, a good 20 minutes to go through. But yeah, let us dive straight in. So the first question that we have is, what other dangers of AI should we be aware of, in your opinion, and obviously working with quite a few charities?
Sure. So yeah, we went through some of the dangers there as well, which we can go through. Obviously, some of the dangers of using AI. The ones that obviously focus, is the cybersecurity side of things as well. One thing to point with there's been a big rise in AI cyber attacks. So historically, with sort of the cyber attacks, the most popular form of that would be ransomware attacks. Obviously, people trying to take money. But some recent, working with some of our IT partners, cybersecurity partners, there's been a rise of AI attacks, which almost is pretty much level with this, with the amount of ransomware attacks that are out there as well now. So there's that side of things. On a personal, which I haven't touched on as well, but it's one of the risks for me, which I see, is how AI is used in video and audio as well. Just to give an example, I was scrolling through my phone today and I saw as you do scrolling through, I looked for I saw a video between, I think it was Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, and I thought, okay, what are they up to? And as I listened to it, they had their voices down, but they were speaking nothing about the topic. The video was taken from something they did previously, but they were actually trying to upsell some some gambling sort of app as
Mm,
well,
mhm.
and and the AI was you, so you can, it was very hard to spot, and the voices were the same, and obviously someone like me realized, oh, okay, this is AI. But in a world now where AI is been adopted so quickly, and there's so many dangers that we have to watch out for it, particularly, for example, with children as well. I mean, with children adopting technology, so it seems to be so earlier in their lives now, and there's already an amount of dangers that children face. Now they have to be wary of things like the videos that they scroll on social media, and they'll often come across incorrect or false information generated by AI. And I think it's really dangerous and quite alarming in that sense. So that's a
Yeah,
personal thing which I'm a
indeed.
bit worried about.
Yes, yes, and I completely agree, and especially I suppose many of our attendees perhaps are working with vulnerable groups or
Absolutely.
young groups as their service users,
Hmm.
and I think there's going to be even more focus needed to educate that public to sort of decipher and see the sort of misinformation or fake videos, for instance, that can be AI generated. Um, we are familiar with a few courses and a few, I guess, uh, educational pieces from some charities who deal with young people who are already working on a specific program that also covers AI, because obviously when you have young and or other vulnerable groups, you also need to protect them as part of your safeguarding obligations. So unfortunately, AI from that perspective can throw another risk in the balance. And obviously, we're talking about beneficiaries, but that's also very possible for volunteers. And there's I guess another thing that perhaps some of our members may have experienced is in the field of recruitment. You also need to be aware whether any tasks that you're providing to candidates, whether they have been AI generated, or whether the use of AI may have taken place. So there's we think again, apply human oversight and keep the human touch. That's what our sector does best. So really do wherever possible, still keep applying human oversight to AI produced content, and to if you suspect any use of AI, we have a couple of pieces of content around that. But yeah, well, thank you very much, Joel, for that. And so we got questions actually from somebody before joining the session who asked us, how does Copilot compare with ChatGPT for its use in the charity sector? Do you have already some hunters, or have you seen some examples?
Yeah, I mean, the main one which we went through the session
Mm,
today briefly is that Bing uses footnotes to take more modern information, whilst ChatGPT is using sort of historic data, which has a risk of being out of date as well. I would say, yeah, without going to the technical side of things, diving right into the communications and how AI works, probably would, it even goes over my head, to be fair. But I would say that the main difference would be that Bing is using the footnotes on, takes data
mm,
from online, which
yeah.
you can, whilst ChatGPT is relying on historic data, which just goes back to exactly to your point, is that when using AI, anything that you're using to bring up facts or anything like that, you have to have that human touch and double check
Mhm.
what's being said.
Absolutely. Thank you. So now there's a few questions around the licenses and the Microsoft licenses needed. Jen was asking, or perhaps that might be a question that might have been answered already in the chat. How can they find out which Microsoft 365 license they're using?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have access to your 365 admin portal, um, or either yourself or somebody will in your organization, you'll be able to see your list of users, and you'll be able to see what license that they have been assigned there. So you'll see the various, I think there's nearly 24, maybe more, different Microsoft 365 or Office 365 subscriptions out there. So you'll be able to see the name of the subscription that's assigned to them, and then you can match that to what we've mentioned today, can use Copilot. So I guess a rule of thumb is that if you're using any sort of web only subscription, maybe like business basic or E1, it's not going to work with it currently. So anything that has the ability to download the apps, like we mentioned, like business standard, business premium, and obviously that you get things included already with your sort of E5 levels. I can't imagine too many charities on an E5 licensing. I'm sure there's a fair few, but it's for me personally, it can be quite an expensive option for many of our charities here. I mean, £14 a month for one license of E5. I think it's about 14.50. I think can be a little bit expensive for a lot of the charities that at least I've had the pleasure of working with. And then so it's those type of I've gone in circles here, but yeah, those are the licenses. The web only apps are probably the ones that aren't going to be the ones that can work with Copilot at the moment. So look out for your business standard, your business premium offer, which I'm sure many charities are taking advantage of with the great offer for business premium out there, for sure.
Thank you, Joel. Moving on. So Jasper is asking, so we have just registered directly as a non-profit with Microsoft. If Jasper's organization go through Charity Digital, do we essentially act as a reseller? Maybe if you want to share a little bit more details around that relationship and how that works.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we are a reseller of Microsoft products. Historically, we've always done the non-profit or the charitable discount ones. That's something that we've always done since I've been here, nearly 7 years. So in the past, when Copilot came available, I didn't think we'd be able to resell it because we specialize primarily in the non-profit discount side of things. But our partners have been able to allow us to provide the commercial version of Copilot for 365 for the first time. And I'm sure and hopefully there's a non-profit version comes in the near future, we'll be able to resell that. Currently, like I said earlier, it's quite expensive due to it being commercial, and also our version isn't available at a monthly sort of subscription cost at the moment. So there was a slide earlier, which I think it's just about under £200 per year for one user at the moment, which is it can be quite costly for a large majority of our charity base, which is why I said make sure you take advantage of low cost non-profit licenses which work with Copilot while you can, so that you have the budget to go for that.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And actually links back to another question, question from Emily, who's really keen to find an AI tool that can reliably take minutes at meeting. And she's asking whether there's a sort of task Copilot can take on. And actually, we can answer. So one member of our team has been using the Copilot license to sort of take notes and also summary of notes, and it's been going okay. We also familiar with other software, namely Fathom, Fireflies, and I think I've seen another one in the chat. But yeah, Copilot enables you to record, transcribe, and makes a summary of the notes in the meeting. I don't know if you want to add anything, Joel.
Yeah, no, you covered it, but I was going to say what the particularly useful part is if you're having a long sort of video-based meeting, maybe something similar to, it's not a webinar, but a long meeting. I love the way that it summarizes it, particularly say if you're on leave or something like that, and it just really summarizes the meeting quite nicely, quite concise but informative as well. So that's a really nice feature of that tool for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And moving on, so obviously in terms of again, more of the licensing. So Scott is saying that they're currently using Teams, and including more recently Teams telephony. They're considering possibly jumping from a CRM called Razor's Edge, and they're wondering how powerful a tool would it be to move to Microsoft Dynamics and Copilot, other charity CRM options.
Sure.
So I don't know if you had other.
Yeah. I mean, Dynamics 365. It is an excellent CRM tool for sure. The way obviously it will integrate with everything that you're familiar with already if you're using Microsoft already. The tricky thing, and this goes for any CRM in my view, is getting it set up correctly as well. So having the expertise, or perhaps even employing the types of organizations out there that can help you implement Dynamics 365, I think, is essential from the get-go. You want to get that right from the start, otherwise you're always going to be suffering with the CRM if you're not got quite right implemented. We've worked alongside organizations that are like Dynamics 365 and implementers in the past, haven't we? And still do, don't we, Lisa?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes. There are a few. We can put their names in the chat. I think from our own perspective, it would be, having an understanding internally within your team as to, what perhaps currently frustrates you with Razor's Edge, and why you want to move over to Microsoft Dynamics. The Copilot option, enables you to have a little bit more deep dive in the data. But perhaps is that something that you can do perhaps Power BI or other things? So it's also very important, because we know how, like Joel said, how daunting perhaps a task it is to move from one CRM to the other and ensure that everything is smooth. So have a if you're able to take time to review where you're at and where you want to be, and where you're hoping that Pilot can help. We've got a few articles around choosing a CRM that can also help you. What we'd say is, obviously, if you're already using Microsoft Outlook, and as well as different fundraising platforms, the first thing you want is having a central, a way for all of these apps to communicate with one another. And it's true that by having Dynamics, you can make all of these speak to one another. But it's very important to also see where the current pain points are, and whether in fact moving to Dynamics and Copilot can accurately solve that. And sometimes the answer lies in between, but more importantly is for to reduce the silos internally. I think that's where we're seeing most charities having some pain points at the moment, is having loads of different points of information in different places, and it's about moving that together. Moving on. A question from George, who is saying that their Windows is not opening Copilot for them, and they think that it's not enabled for all. And I think that is correct. Most people have a preview of Copilot.
Yeah, that's right. It's in preview format at the moment. Remember, it's for Windows 11.
Yes,
so
Windows 11.
For Windows
yes.
11. If you are using Windows 11 and it's not working, by all means, if you're using 365 at the moment or anything like that, raise a service request with Microsoft just to double check the system for that as to why it's not working. But if you've got Windows 11, then you should have access to Copilot for Windows there. Like we said, it is in preview mode as well, so it's still in. It's kind of testing, so it's not fully there yet, but it should be available if you're on Windows 10. Sorry, Windows 11. Windows 11.
Windows 11. Windows 11.
Windows 11.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And moving on. I don't know whether you had a chance to look into that more, but do you know how could Copilot Studios allow charities to create custom reports and that help analyze the Dynamics data?
Sure, the capability is there for sure. I mean, I must admit, I haven't got into Copilot Studio just of yet. Just it's just not something I've got round to much sure, but the capability is there to, if you have the knowledge or the staff or the volunteers to help implement or create your own AI to really study the data, there really could be some really good boundaries that you could push there with that software for sure. Sorry, I couldn't give you a full answer. Like I said, I haven't had the full experience with Studio just of yet.
Yeah, but we can definitely also, look into that. We have obviously our in-house content team, and we can definitely ask them if they know more and put that in a resources tab. Yeah, certainly. And so moving on to Susan and also Jordan, do are there examples of Copilot that we can share or that you're familiar with, Joel?
Examples, sorry.
Some examples of using Copilot, from a charity that has used Copilot.
Oh, okay. So like how we might have used it.
We ourselves, yes, yeah.
Okay. I'll take it just from a personal perspective as well, but by all means, Lisa, I'm sure you'd have your own saying as well. So, as I spoke about in the presentation, ethics for me is really, really important with AI. So when it comes to so for example, I really like using Copilot and other generative AI tools to help me with information that isn't based on facts, for example, as a starting point. So for example, if I needed to write up some sort of like a meeting or or a speech, something like that. For me, the idea of working from a blank page is the hardest part. The first typing is the hardest. So what I like to use the generative AI to at least give me the part to get me started. Then I can make my appropriate edits. As we've said a few times, definitely do not take the language, in my opinion, of how the AI relays it back to you. I mean, you can tell it to perhaps like make it less make it more friendly, for example, or less direct, which is great as well, but still make sure you add your own touch to it as well. So I use it for that sense. Anything factual wise, when you're relying on, for example, if I wanted to compare a piece of software to others out there, I might ask the AI initially, can you find me some comparisons to like this software or this CRM? It will come up with a list, but that won't be my final. This won't be my sort of the final part of it. I would then go and cross-check that for sure, just to make it still relevant. Like for example, Copilot, like I said, is taking information from the internet, but it could be coming from something like from some dead links, or they might not know the history of anything like that. So that's how I personally use it at the moment, just for the work I'm doing. What about you, Lisa?
Yeah, good point. I mean, quite similar to you. So in terms of creating, content or finding inspiration, mainly for content as a starter for 10, and then applying human oversight to what Copilot provides, and also really it's very useful for the note taking and summarizing. So obviously, if you are delivering quite a lot of meetings, a lot of trainings, it can be quite useful. We know that we've heard of some other users to take a lot of information, such as a lot of perhaps legal language, and sort of comparing in sort of legal documents and understanding where the difference sits. But there are a few limitations to that. So I think down the line, it's about understanding how to provide the right prompt, a bit like ChatGPT. So it's understanding what to really ask of Copilot in order to get the results you want. And I think there's actually a question from Jonathan around that, who's asking whether we agree that Copilot within Office and ChatGPT are more complementary than alternative. Because there are obviously Copilot seems to work better than ChatGPT if you're generating something easy, because it can be very quickly done. But if you're doing something that requires lots of prompts, it's then better to use ChatGPT, and then obviously, like we were saying, the prompt enables the AI to be trained basically and to get you the right answer. I don't know if you had it, if perhaps you've spoken with some charities or had some examples in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a chance to have a go with Copilot, and also Chat GPT as well was kind of the starting point for me, and in that sense, and like I say, it's about understanding the limitations of it, but it's been very useful, especially for for personal, like you can have fun with it, for example, as well. I remember impressing my nan about what AI can do, and I got it to write a story about her, and she had a bad toe one day, so I said, write a story about my nan and her bad toe, and it came up with 300. So that was particularly great with that. And just going back to what I said at the beginning is that when you get the information from the AI, and like I said, don't use it as it's presented. It kind of, for me, it almost, by the time I finished with what I want to create, it almost ends up completely different to how it started. But it's that AI giving me almost the inspiration or the drive to go and make that piece of content that I'm working on. So, yeah, because like I said, yeah, it never ends up the same as what's been initially generated by the AI, which is, I think, it's quite interesting. Inspiration, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. A good source of inspiration. And I see in the chat, obviously, an answer to Lucy's question, who was asking some best practice example around AI policies for small, medium, and large size charities. We have a couple of articles around the basics to a policy, but we can also highly recommend the Charity Excellence Framework website, who also has some sort of training and content around specifically AI policies. So you may want to check them out, and so we're friends with Mr. McClintock. So it's we're very happy to signpost people to the Charity Excellence Framework too. Brilliant. So we've got time for a couple more questions. Question from Colin: is Copilot able to use our emails and documents stored in Exchange, well, I guess Microsoft Exchange, and SharePoint as training data? And if yes, how can we control which documents it uses?
Yeah, so I haven't used that myself, that particular example. I don't see why you could train it. I mean, there's already some tools in place to help you with that. Within 365 before Copilot, there's some of the tool, when I spoke about some of the top 20, the top 10 unused tools in a webinar we did a few weeks, there's a few points in there that I'd recommend if you're looking into that. I can't say I've experienced doing that just yet, so I can't give you the examples, but there's definitely a way for Copilot to help you manage those, for sure.
Yeah, and it's because obviously, to add to your point, before Copilot, the use of Copilot was more general. We have used ChatGPT, so the sort of paying version for ChatGPT, to feed a lot of anonymized data to it and help us make sense of it. So it would definitely be working along the same for Copilot. Again, what is most important is understanding what sort of data you are feeding to it, so ideally anonymized data, or documents that that protect the right kind of information. And from an admin perspective, ensuring that these documents are only accessed by the people who need to see that. So Copilot can definitely help you make sense of a lot of data, and then you can feed that data to them. So it can almost serve as an internal resource point. But we can certainly look into some perhaps use cases and share with you. We're also going to have a session next month with Microsoft around AI. So definitely there's going to be some use cases there. But definitely because it's within the Microsoft environment, you can certainly feed some of your data to Copilot and train Copilot to sort of feed the sort of correct response or help you make sense of the data. And we can definitely look into more information in the resources and signpost to that. And so another question, question from Mira. Are there any phone systems that work with Copilot and Microsoft if we want to transcribe phone calls?
It's a good question. I haven't tested it, but obviously you've got Teams Phone Standard,
Yeah.
which comes with the so it's an add-on to Teams which allows you to take or make calls, sort of bring inbound calls.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's with Microsoft directly, you can get calling plans, or you can get external calling plans and just get the add-on license yourself. But I don't see why. Like, again, I guess it just relates to what Lisa said, because you're in the Microsoft kind of area. There shouldn't be a reason why you could put Copilot running alongside Teams Phone for sure.
Exactly.
There would be a way to train it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're perfectly right, and I think it would make probably more sense to have your telephony working alongside your teams in the same environment. But what we'll do in the resources tab, we'll add links to some of the Microsoft specialists and experts we've worked with over the past few years, and so obviously you're very welcome to reach out to them specifically around the telephony, and we can provide all the sort of educational content around that to help you make the right decision before you have to think about budget and implementation. But yeah, I think that's all we've got time for today. So don't worry, we will make sure that other questions are answered and are available in the resources tab. So thank you very much to all of you for joining us. And thank you very much for Joel as well, for sharing his time and expertise. So yeah, we're hoping that you found that helpful, that he's helped you start some perhaps get some questions or answer some questions or start conversations internally. As we've said, the session is being recorded, so it will be available to watch on demand within a week's time. And slides, other resources will also be made available to you. If you can share your feedback about how you found the session, that'd be fantastic. So there's a link available in the chat section for you to do so. And if you would like to understand a little bit more about how we can possibly help around that topic, don't hesitate to reach out to us by email or on live chat. And before we leave, just wanted to let you know about our next free webinars, which is going to be on the 30th of May. And it's going to be a very exciting charity guide to the MetaQuest and MetaQuest headset. So we put a link in the chat for you to sign up as well. And obviously, if some of you are interested in a MetaQuest and how it works for charities, that might be an interesting one to attend. And we also have a free online event on the 20th of June called Digital Inclusion Summit, helping the whole charity sector reach the digital divide. And we have session around AI, around digital inclusion and what it means, accessibility in social media, etc. So we hope to see some of you there. It's on the 20th of June, so we've still got a little bit of time. But yeah, apart from that, thank you very much to all of you for joining us today. And thank you very much, Joel, for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you. And thank you, Lisa, for being a fantastic host as usual.
You're welcome.
So thank you. And thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. Really appreciate it.